The air at the very top of the world is thin and clear, like a sheet of cool glass resting against the edge of the sky. If you were to stand there now, in the stillness of the high peaks, you would hear nothing but the soft, rhythmic sigh of the wind as it brushes against the ancient stone. It is a quiet place, a place where time seems to stretch and fold, moving with the slow deliberation of a deep breath. To understand these mountains, these great white giants that we call the Himalayas, we must go back to a time before there were maps, before there were paths, and even before there were trees to catch the morning light. We must look down at the very ground beneath us, the solid earth that feels so still and permanent, and realize that it is actually moving, drifting like a great wooden raft on a calm and endless sea. Imagine, if you will, the world as it was many millions of years ago, a time when the map looked quite different than the one we know today. There was a vast ocean, a blue and silent expanse of water that stretched out toward every horizon. Beneath this ocean, deep under the weight of the waves, the floor of the earth was restless. It was not a violent restlessness, but a slow and steady migration. A journey that took place over ages so long that a single human life would be but a flicker of a candle in the dark. The land that we now call India was once an island, a great green piece of the earth's crust that sat far to the south, surrounded by the warm and gentle currents of the sea. It was a lush place, filled with the scent of damp earth and the sound of water lapping against sandy shores. This island began to move. It drifted northward, traveling at a pace so slow that if you had been standing on its coast, you would never have known you were going anywhere at all. It moved perhaps the length of a fingernail each year, a quiet and patient progress through the deep blue water. As it moved, it pushed the floor of the ocean ahead of it, folding the soft silt and the ancient shells of the sea into long, rolling waves of stone. There was no hurry in this journey. The sun rose and set millions of times. The stars turned in their slow celestial circles, and the great island continued its northern trek, drawn by the silent forces that lie deep within the heart of our planet. Eventually, this traveling piece of land drew near to the vast continent of Asia. The ocean that had once separated them began to narrow, the water becoming shallower and warmer, until finally the two great masses of Earth met. When they touched, there was no sound that a human ear could have heard, only the immense and steady pressure of one world meeting another. Because neither piece of land wanted to sink, they began to crumple and lift, rising slowly out of the water and reaching toward the clouds. The seabed, with all its smooth pebbles and layers of fine sand, was pushed upward higher and higher, until the bottom of the ocean became the top of the mountains. Even today, if you were to walk along the high ridges of the Himalayas, you might find the small, spiral shape of a seashell embedded in the rock, a quiet reminder of the time when these high, cold peaks were once a warm and sunlit floor beneath the waves. The mountains grew with a gentle persistence. They did not leap up in a day. They rose with the patience of a forest growing from seeds. As the land pushed upward, the weather began to change. The high ridges caught the clouds, wrapping themselves in soft blankets of mist and snow. The air grew cooler, and the sound of the wind began to weave through the new valleys, a low and steady hum that has never truly stopped. You can almost feel the weight of that stone, the immense and solid presence of the earth as it folded itself into these great, jagged pleats. It is a texture of rough granite and smooth limestone, of cold shadows and bright, pale light reflecting off the first patches of ice. As the peaks rose higher, they began to create their own world, a place of stillness and white silence. The lower slopes remained warm and green, smelling of pine needles and damp moss. But as you move upward in your mind, the colors begin to fade into a palette of soft grays and brilliant whites. The light here is different. It is thin and pure, catching the edges of the rocks and turning them to silver in the late afternoon. There is a sense of great space here, an openness that allows the mind to wander and settle, like a bird finding a branch in the twilight. The mountains do not demand anything of us. They simply exist, standing as tall and quiet sentinels at the edge of the sky. Think of the way the mist settles into the deep valleys between these giants. It moves like a slow-flowing river of milk, filling the hollows and softening the sharp edges of the stone. When the sun begins to dip low, the mist turns a pale shade of violet, and the shadows of the peaks stretch out across the landscape like long, dark fingers. Everything is hushed. The only sound is the occasional crack of a glacier, a deep and resonant note that sounds like the earth settling into a comfortable position for the night. It is a sound of stability, of a world that is so large and so old that it has no need for haste. Underneath the snow and the ice, the mountains are still moving, still rising by a few millimeters every year. The two continents are still locked in their slow embrace, pushing against one another with a quiet and unwavering strength. It is a reminder that the earth is alive in its own way, breathing in cycles that span eons rather than seconds. We are guests in this landscape, invited to witness the slow unfolding of a story that began long before we arrived and will continue long after we have gone. There is a comfort in this permanence, a feeling of being cradled by something vast and enduring. As we look at these peaks, we see the history of the world written in the layers of the rock. Each stripe of color, each fold in the stone, tells a tale of the pressure and the heat and the time that it took to build this cathedral of earth. The smell of the high places is the smell of cold stone and frozen water, a scent that is clean and sharp and utterly still. It is a place where the clutter of the world falls away, leaving only the essential elements of wind, light and rock. The mountains invite us to be still, to match our rhythm to theirs, to slow our thoughts until they are as steady as the rising of the sun over a snowy ridge. The valleys below are deep and green, fed by the water that trickles down from the high glaciers. This water is clear and cold, tasting of the minerals of the deep earth. It flows over smooth gray stones, making a soft, bubbling sound that follows the contours of the land. In these lower reaches, the air is thicker and carries the scent of rhododendrons and wild herbs. The transition from the green world to the white world is a gradual one, a slow fading of color and sound until only the purity of the high peaks remains. It is like moving from a busy room into a quiet library, where the very walls seem to hold a sense of peace and contemplation. Imagine the first snow falling on a new peak. Millions of years ago, the flakes are large and soft, drifting down through the thin air and landing without a sound. They layer upon each other, pressing down until they become ice. A blue and translucent weight that shapes the mountain even as the mountain rises. The ice flows too, moving with the same glacial patience as the continents themselves. It carves out wide, U-shaped valleys and polishes the rock until it shines like a mirror in the morning light. The relationship between the stone and the ice is a long and gentle conversation, a process of giving and taking that has lasted for ages. In the quiet of this high altitude, the stars seem closer, larger and brighter than they do from the plains below. They hang in the dark velvet of the sky like glowing lanterns, casting a faint and silvery glow over the snowfields. The mountains under the starlight are a study in blue and silver, a landscape that feels as though it belongs to the heavens as much as it belongs to the earth. There is no movement here at night, save for the slow rotation of the constellations and the quiet settling of the frost. It is a place of absolute rest, a place where the very air seems to be holding its breath in anticipation of the dawn. When the sun finally does return, it touches the highest tips of the mountains first. The white peaks turn a soft, glowing rose, then a pale gold, as the light spills down the slopes and into the valleys. It is a gentle awakening, a slow transition from the deep blue of night to the bright clarity of day. The shadows retreat slowly, hiding in the deep crevices and behind the great buttresses of rock, leaving the world feeling fresh and new. The warmth of the sun is faint at this height, but it is enough to make the air shimmer and to send the first few drops of meltwater trickling down the face of the stone. We can feel the immense age of this place in the soles of our feet, a connection to the deep history of the planet. The collision of the continents was not an end, but a beginning, the start of a process that continues to shape the weather, the water, and the very life of the lands that surround these peaks. The Himalayas are a bridge between the earth and the sky, a place where the terrestrial meets the celestial in a quiet and harmonious union. They remind us that change, when it happens slowly enough, can create something of breathtaking beauty and enduring strength. As we rest here in our thoughts, looking out over the endless rows of white summits, we feel the weight of our own worries beginning to lift. They are small things light as dust, when compared to the vast and steady presence of the mountains. The air is cool on our skin, and the sound of the distant wind is a lullaby that speaks of ancient things and long, quiet nights. We are safe here, tucked into the folds of the earth, sheltered by the very stone that rose from the bottom of the sea to touch the stars. The light is beginning to soften now, as the afternoon lines toward evening. The vibrant whites are turning to cream and then to a gentle, dusty lilac. The valleys are filling once again with the blue shadows of twilight, and the birds that live in the lower forests are settling into their nests among the pines. The world is folding itself in for the night, drawing the blanket of the atmosphere close and preparing for the long, cold silence of the dark. There is a sense of profound completion in this cycle, a feeling that everything is exactly where it is meant to be. The mountains stand still, their great roots reaching deep into the crust of the earth, their peaks held high in the darkening sky. They do not move, yet they are never truly stagnant. They are a monument to the slow and steady forces of nature, a testament to the power of patience and the beauty of the long view. As we drift closer to sleep, We carry the image of these mountains with us, a landscape of peace and permanence that remains unchanged by the passing of the hours. The air grows colder, but we are warm, wrapped in the stillness of our own surroundings. The rhythmic breathing of the earth, the slow movement of the continents, and the gentle fall of the snow all blend into a single soothing hum. It is the sound of a world at rest, a world that has seen millions of sunsets and will see millions more. We are a part of this story, a small and quiet part, resting on the surface of a planet that knows how to take its time. The mountains are fading into the darkness now, their outlines becoming soft and blurred against the starry sky. The wind has dropped to a whisper, a faint rustle of air that barely stirs the surface of the snow. The silence is deep and restorative, a well of quiet that we can draw from as we let go of the day. The journey through the high peaks has brought us to a place of absolute calm, a place where the only thing that matters is the steady beat of the heart and the soft flow of the breath. In the next part of our journey, we will descend slightly from these highest ridges, moving down into the places where the ice begins to melt and the first signs of life appear. We will follow the water as it starts its long trip toward the sea, moving through hidden valleys and over ancient paths. But for now, we stay here, in the high silence where the two continents met and the world rose up to meet the sky. The stone is cold, the stars are bright, and the world is very, very still. As the last light fades from the highest peak, the mountain seems to settle even further into the dark. It is a solid, comforting presence, a guardian of the night. We close our eyes and feel the vastness of the landscape, the coolness of the air, and the deep, unshakable peace of the earth. Everything is quiet, everything is at rest. The mountains are sleeping, and so, slowly are we. The story of the earth continues in its slow and beautiful way, moving with a rhythm that is as steady as the turning of the stars. We drift now into the soft embrace of the night, carried by the memory of the white peaks and the ancient, silent stone. The silver light of the stars begins to fade, yielding to a soft charcoal gray that washes over the high ridges before the sun has even thought of rising. As the first breath of morning stirs, we leave the cold, thin air of the summits behind and begin a slow, drifting descent toward the green world that cradles the mountains from below. We are moving into the foothills, those rolling waves of earth that act as a gentle staircase leading up to the roof of the world. Here the air grows thicker and sweeter, carrying the scent of damp earth and waking leaves. It is a world of filtered light and deep shadows, where the silence is not the empty silence of the high peaks, but a living, breathing quietude filled with the soft rustle of life. Imagine your feet pressing into the soft, springy carpet of the forest floor. The ground is a tapestry of fallen needles and ancient moss, giving way slightly with every step, cushioning your weight as if the earth itself were welcoming you home. The air is cool, but it no longer carries the sharp bite of the ice. Instead, it feels like silk against the skin, smelling of crushed pine and the faint, metallic tang of a distant waterfall. In these lower reaches, the mountains are dressed in 1,000 shades of green, from the pale, translucent lime of new ferns to the deep, brooding emerald of the cedar groves. As the sun climbs higher, Its light does not strike the ground directly, but filters through a dense canopy of rhododendron trees. These are not the small shrubs you might find in a garden, but ancient, gnarled giants with trunks twisted like thick rope and bark that feels like weathered parchment. Their leaves are long and waxy, catching the light and turning it into a soft, glowing haze in the springtime. These forests are heavy with blossoms, great pillowy clusters of crimson, pink and cream. The fallen petals scatter across the path like a velvet rug, damp with the morning mist, turning the forest floor into a mosaic of soft color. The sound of the foothills is the sound of water. It is a constant, low-frequency hum that vibrates in the chest. The sound of 1,000 tiny streams trickling over smooth, gray stones. These streams are the lifeblood of the forest, born from the melting snows far above, winding their way through the roots of the trees. The water is so clear it looks like liquid glass, swirling around mossy boulders and collecting in deep, still pools where the surface is as smooth as a mirror. If you were to dip your hand into one of these pools, the water would feel startlingly cold, a refreshing reminder of the glaciers that sit quietly in the clouds above. Further down, the rhododendrons give way to the great Himalayan cedars, the deodars, whose name means the timber of the gods. These trees stand tall and straight, their branches spreading out in wide, flat layers that catch the mist and hold it close. Walking among them feels like walking through a vast, natural cathedral. The light here is dim and golden, dancing with tiny motes of dust that float lazily in the air. There is no wind here, only a gentle sighing as the air moves through the high needles, a sound like a distant ocean tide coming in and going out, over and over again. The inhabitants of these forests move with a quiet, unhurried grace. You might catch a glimpse of a tragipan pheasant, its feathers a brilliant tapestry of spots and swirls, stepping delicately through the undergrowth. It does not fly away in a panic. It simply melts back into the shadows, a ghost of the forest. High above, a langur monkey might sit on a thick branch, its long, silvery tail hanging down like a pendulum. It watches the world with dark, thoughtful eyes, peeling a piece of fruit with slow, deliberate fingers, perfectly content in the stillness of the afternoon. In the small clearings where the sun manages to touch the grass, wild strawberries grow low to the ground, their tiny white flowers nodding in the breeze. The scent of wild thyme and sage rises from the earth when brushed, mixing with the heavy, resinous perfume of the pine trees. It is a rich, sleepy smell, the kind that makes the eyelids feel heavy and the limbs feel warm. The hum of a single bumblebee, heavy with pollen, provides a steady, rhythmic drone that anchors the silence, a tiny golden speck moving from flower to flower in no particular hurry. As we continue our descent, the forest changes again, welcoming the broad-leaved oaks and the maples. Their leaves are larger, creating a rhythmic patter when a light rain begins to fall. The rain in the foothills is often nothing more than a fine, cooling mist that clings to your eyelashes and turns the tree trunks into dark, glistening pillars. It dampens the sound of your footsteps even further, until you are moving in total harmony with the woods. The smell of wet stone and rain-washed bark is deep and grounding, a scent that reaches back through thousands of years of quiet afternoons just like this one. Tucked away in the folds of these hills are the small dwellings of the mountain people. Built from the very stone and timber we have been walking through. The houses have low roofs made of heavy slate, silvered by the weather, and wooden balconies carved with simple, flowing patterns. There is no clamor here. A thin ribbon of blue wood smoke rises straight up from a chimney, signaling a hearth where a kettle is beginning to hum. The smell of burning cedar wood is sweet and sharp, drifting across the slopes to meet you, a warm invitation to slow down, to rest and to listen to the mountains breathe. In the late afternoon, the valleys begin to fill with a soft blue haze. The light turns honey-colored, stretching the shadows of the trees across the grass until they touch the edges of the streams. The birds settle into the high branches, their songs slowing down, becoming single, sleepy notes that echo softly through the woods. The air grows a little cooler, a little heavier, carrying the promise of a long, undisturbed rest. The world is wrapping itself in a blanket of twilight, preparing to tuck the forests and the foothills into the velvet darkness of the night. We find ourselves sitting on a flat, sun-warmed rock at the edge of a high meadow. Below us, the forest stretches out like a deep, green sea, and above us, the white peaks are turning a pale, dusty rose in the fading light. There is nothing to do but watch the colors change and feel the steady rhythm of your own breathing, matching the slow pulse of the earth. The weight of the day is lifting, replaced by a profound sense of stillness that starts at the tips of your toes and moves slowly upward, relaxing every muscle, quieting every thought. The mist begins to rise from the valley floor, drifting upward like soft, white wool. It curls around the trunks of the oaks and settles into the hollows of the hills, softening the edges of the world. The distant sound of a cowbell clinks once, twice, and then falls silent. The stars are beginning to peer through the canopy, tiny sparks of light reflected in the dark, quiet pools of the forest streams. Everything is settling, everything is slowing, as the forest prepares to dream under the watchful gaze of the ancient trees. As the last glow of the sun disappears behind the western ridges, the foothills become a place of deep, protective shadow. The air is still. The water is a soft murmur, and the scent of the pines is a gentle lullaby. We are cradled in the lap of the mountains, safe and warm, held by the enduring strength of the earth and the quiet wisdom of the woods. The journey through the green world is coming to a soft close, leaving us in a state of perfect, heavy peace. The shadows lengthen and merge, turning the vibrant grains into a uniform, soothing charcoal. The world is closing its eyes, and we are closing ours along with it, drifting on the scent of cedar and the sound of the trickling stream. The mountains are vast, but here in the forest, they are intimate and kind, a sanctuary of soft textures and hushed tones. We rest now, let the stillness of the foothills wash over us, preparing for the gentle transition into the deeper valleys that lie ahead, where the rivers grow wide and the earth grows even more still. As we descend into the cradle of the lower valleys, the air begins to carry a different weight, a soft and humid sweetness that smells of damp earth and the quiet breath of growing things. The sharp, thin cold of the higher peaks fades away, replaced by a gentle warmth that settles over the skin like a well-worn woolen shawl. Here, the mountains do not loom so much as they embrace. Their steep slopes curving inward to protect the narrow strips of green that cling to the banks of the winding rivers. These are the valleys where time seems to slow to the pace of a steady heartbeat, where the rhythms of life are dictated not by the ticking of a clock, but by the shifting angle of the sun against the terrace walls and the seasonal arrival of the monsoon rains. Imagine the sound of water, not the crashing roar of a glacial torrent, but the melodic, rhythmic chatter of a small irrigation stream as it flows through a hand-carved stone channel. This water is the lifeblood of the valley, diverted from the main river with great care and patience to feed the thirsty roots of the crops. It moves with a soft, liquid pulse splashing gently against the smooth pebbles and the mossy edges of the banks. The sound is constant and soothing, a low hum that underlies every other noise in the valley, a reminder of the steady work of nature and the quiet persistence of those who live here. The hillsides are transformed into a giant, winding staircase of emerald and gold. These are the ancient terraces, carved into the earth over centuries by hands that knew the texture of every rock and the temper of every patch of soil. From a distance, they look like ripples on the surface of a still pond, following the natural contours of the mountain in long, sweeping curves. Each level is a small world of its own, a narrow ribbon of flat earth held in place by walls of dry-stacked stone. These stones are weathered and gray, covered in patches of pale green lichen that feel like velvet under the fingertips. There is no mortar here, only the careful balance of weight and gravity, a silent conversation between the mountain and the people who tend it. In the early morning, a soft mist often lingers in the hollows of the valley, clinging to the tops of the fruit trees and the thatched roofs of the houses. It is a quiet, silver light that blurs the edges of the world, making the distant peaks look like faint charcoal sketches against a pale sky. As the sun begins to rise, the mist thins and drifts away in long, lazy ribbons revealing the vibrant colors of the crops. There are fields of barley and buckwheat, their stalks swaying slowly in the morning breeze with a sound like a soft sigh. In the lower reaches where the air is warmer, the rice paddies shimmer like mirrors, reflecting the deep blue of the sky and the white clouds that drift overhead. The smell of the valley is a rich tapestry of wood smoke and ripening grain. In the small clusters of houses built from sun-dried mud bricks and sturdy timber, the morning fires are being lit. The smoke rises straight and true from the chimneys, a thin blue line that carries the scent of cedar and pine. It mixes with the earthy aroma of the soil and the faint, floral perfume of the wild rose bushes that grow along the paths. It is a scent that speaks of home and safety, of a hearth that has been kept burning for generations. Walking along the narrow paths that wind between the terraces, you might feel the crunch of dry earth beneath your boots and the occasional coolness of a shadow cast by a large walnut tree. These trees are old and gnarled, their branches reaching out like protective arms over the path. Their leaves are a deep, waxy green, and in the autumn, they drop their heavy nuts with a soft thud onto the grass. There is no rush here, no sense of urgency. The path leads where it needs to go, following the natural flow of the land, dipping down to cross a small wooden bridge over a stream, and then climbing gently back up toward the next cluster of dwellings. The houses themselves are built to last, with thick walls that keep out the heat of the day and hold in the warmth of the night. The window frames are often carved with simple, flowing patterns of flowers and vines, painted in soft blues and reds that have faded over the years into gentle pastels. On the flat roofs, bundles of drying corn and bright orange pumpkins are spread out to catch the sun, their colors glowing against the gray stone. There is a sense of order and purpose in everything, a quiet harmony between the needs of the people and the gifts of the earth. In the heat of the afternoon, the valley settles into a deep, peaceful stillness. The birds seek shade in the thickets, and their songs become intermittent and lazy. You might hear the distant, melodic chime of a bell, hanging from the neck of a sturdy ox as it grazes on a patch of clover. The sound carries clearly through the still air, a single silver note that rings out and then fades slowly into the silence. The ox moves slowly, its heavy hooves making a dull, rhythmic sound on the earth, a testament to a life lived in step with the seasons. The work in the fields is a slow and meditative process. It is the work of many hands, moving in a synchronized dance that has not changed for hundreds of years. There is the rhythmic swing of a hoe, the gentle scattering of seeds, and the patient weeding of the rows. It is a quiet labor, punctuated only by the occasional soft word exchanged between neighbors or the humming of a song that has been passed down through families. There is a profound sense of satisfaction in this work, a feeling of being connected to the cycles of growth and decay, of planting a seed and watching it slowly unfurl into a living thing. As the sun begins its long descent toward the western ridges, the light in the valley changes, turning from a bright gold to a deep, warm amber. The shadows of the mountains grow long and soft, stretching across the terraces like dark fingers. The colors of the crops deepen, the greens becoming more intense and the gold of the ripening grain taking on a metallic sheen. The air begins to cool, and the first hints of the evening breeze stir the leaves of the poplar trees, making them shimmer and dance. This is the time when the valley begins to prepare for rest. The tools are gathered up and leaned against the walls of the houses, their wooden handles smooth and polished by years of use. The animals are led back to their shelters, their bells jingling softly as they walk. There is a sense of completion in the air, a feeling that the day's work has been done well and that the earth is now ready to sleep. The transition from day to night is not a sudden event, but a slow and graceful fading, a gradual deepening of the silence. Imagine sitting on a low stone wall at the edge of a terrace, watching the last of the light linger on the highest peaks. The mountains above are bathed in a soft pink and violet glow, a phenomenon known as alpenglow that makes the snow-covered summits look as though they are lit from within. Down in the valley, the shadows are already thick and blue, and the first few stars are beginning to blink into existence in the darkening sky. The sound of the river seems to grow louder in the twilight, a constant, reassuring presence that carries the stories of the mountains down to the plains. The evening meal is a simple and quiet affair, centered around the warmth of the stove. There might be a bowl of steaming lentil soup, seasoned with mountain herbs and thick, handmade flatbreads that smell of toasted grain. The light from the fire flickers against the walls, casting soft, dancing shadows that make the room feel small and cozy. There is a feeling of deep contentment in this simplicity, a recognition that the most basic things, food, warmth, and shelter, are the most precious of all. As the night deepens, the valley becomes a place of profound stillness. The only sounds are the rustle of the wind in the trees and the distant, rhythmic pulse of the river. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of the cold stars and the sleeping earth. The houses are dark now, their occupants tucked away under heavy woolen blankets, their breath slow and steady in the quiet rooms. The mountains stand guard around the valley, their great bulk a silent protector against the vastness of the outside world. In this stillness, it is easy to feel the connection between the people and the land they inhabit. They are not separate from the mountain, but a part of it, as much a feature of the landscape as the rocks and the trees. Their lives are woven into the fabric of the valley, a long and continuous thread that stretches back into the mists of time. There is a comfort in this continuity, a sense that even as the world changes, the fundamental rhythms of life here will remain the same. The soil of the valley is a living thing, enriched by the fallen leaves of autumn and the silt brought down by the summer rains. It is dark and friable, crumbling easily between the fingers, a testament to the care it has received over the generations. Every stone in every wall was placed there with a purpose, every terrace leveled with an eye for balance and longevity. This is a landscape shaped by patience, a place where the concept of time is measured in harvests rather than minutes. As we linger in this quiet valley, the weight of the day seems to lift, replaced by a sense of calm and ease. The mind slows down, matching the pace of the wind and the water. There is no need to hurry, no need to look ahead to the next turn in the path. For now, it is enough to simply be here, to breathe in the cool night air and listen to the song of the mountain. The valley is a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world is muffled by the thickness of the earth and the height of the peaks. The stars above are bright and clear, untroubled by the lights of any city. They form familiar patterns in the sky, ancient maps that have guided travelers and farmers alike for millennia. The Milky Way is a broad, silver ribbon that stretches from one horizon to the other, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and our own small, quiet place within it. The silence of the night is not empty, but full of the soft sounds of the earth breathing, the creak of a timber, the rustle of a nocturnal creature in the undergrowth, the sigh of the wind. In the heart of the valley, the ancient trees stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time. Their roots reach deep into the rocky soil, anchoring them against the storms of winter and the heat of summer. Their bark is thick and furrowed, like the skin of an old man, and their branches are home to countless birds and insects. There is a dignity in their presence, a quiet strength that comes from having weathered many seasons and seen many generations come and go. The water in the stone channels continues its steady journey. Never pausing, never hurrying, it reflects the starlight in brief. Silver flashes as it moves toward the fields. This water has traveled from the high glaciers, trickling through cracks in the rock and gathering strength as it joined with other streams. Now it serves a humble and vital purpose, bringing life to the barley and the beans, ensuring that the cycle of growth will continue for another year. As the night moves toward its deepest point, the valley seems to settle even further into the earth. The shadows are absolute and the air is perfectly still. It is a time of profound rest, a time for the earth to replenish itself and for the mind to find peace. The mountains are no longer giants to be climbed, but gentle guardians of this small, green world. They hold the valley in their lap, keeping it safe and warm until the first light of dawn begins to touch the highest ridges once again. The transition from the day's labor to the night's repose is a gentle one, a slow unwinding of the spirit. There are no sharp edges here, only the soft curves of the terraces and the rounded tops of the hills. Everything is in its place. Everything is as it should be. The rhythm of the valley is the rhythm of life itself, a steady and unwavering pulse that carries us forward with a sense of quiet grace. As we prepare to leave this peaceful place and move toward the higher, more rugged reaches of the mountains, we carry with us the memory of the green terraces and the sound of the irrigation streams. We carry the smell of the wood smoke and the taste of the cool, clear air. The valley remains behind us, a hidden gem tucked away in the folds of the Himalayas, a place where the earth is still and the heart is at rest. The path ahead will lead us through dense forests of oak and rhododendron, where the light is filtered through a canopy of leaves and the ground is carpeted in a thick layer of moss. The air will grow cooler again, and the sounds of the valley will fade, replaced by the deep, resonant silence of the ancient woods. But for now, we allow ourselves to drift in the quiet beauty of the farmed valleys, feeling the steady heartbeat of the land as it settles into the soft, velvet dark of the night, where the only movement is the slow, rhythmic turning of the stars above the silent peaks. The morning light arrives not with a shout, but as a pale and pearly wash that spills over the high ridges, turning the deep indigo of the sky into a soft, translucent violet as the sun begins its slow ascent. The air remains perfectly still, held in a fragile balance between the fading chill of the night and the first faint warmth of the day. We leave behind the heavy, resinous scent of the pine forests and the damp, mossy floors of the lower slopes, stepping out into a world that feels vast and open and wonderfully quiet. Here the trees have begun to thin, their trunks growing shorter and more gnarled, twisted by the wind into graceful, sculptural shapes that lean away from the peaks as if in quiet reverence. The ground beneath our feet is no longer hidden by thick ferns or tangles of ivy, but is instead a soft carpet of silver-gray lichen and tiny, resilient alpine flowers that hug the earth to stay warm. Imagine the scent of the air at this height, where the richness of the valley is replaced by a crisp, thin purity that smells of nothing but cold stone and melting snow. It is a clean, refreshing breath that fills the lungs with a gentle lightness, making every movement feel slow and intentional. The path here is lined with small, rounded pebbles that crunch softly underfoot, a rhythmic sound that anchors us to the earth while the horizon stretches out in every direction. There are no more shadows from the great oaks or the towering firs, only the wide, pale blue canopy of the sky and the sunlight reflecting off the mica in the rocks, creating tiny, shimmering glints of gold and silver in the dust. As we climb higher, the last of the rhododendrons appear, no longer the great trees we saw below, but small, sturdy bushes with leaves as thick and leathery as old parchment. Their flowers are a deep, dusty pink, clustered together in tight bundles that seem to glow against the gray expanse of the mountain. These plants have learned the secret of patience, growing only a few inches every decade, spreading their roots deep into the cracks of the granite to find the hidden trickles of water that run beneath the surface. There is a sense of profound peace in their stillness, a feeling that time here moves at a different pace, measured not in hours or days, but in the slow weathering of the stone and the gradual shifting of the seasons. The wind at this altitude is a soft, melodic hum, a gentle sighing that moves through the tall, golden grasses that grow in the sheltered hollows. These grasses are long and fine, swaying back and forth in a synchronized dance that mimics the movement of the waves on a distant, silent ocean when the breeze catches them. They make a sound like silk rubbing against silk, a dry and soothing whisper that follows us as we move upward. In the patches of damp earth near the small, crystalline streams, we find cushions of bright green moss, so soft and springy that they feel like velvet pillows tucked into the crevices of the rock. The water in these streams is perfectly clear, tumbling over smooth, white stones with a sound like the tinkling of tiny bells, a cool and constant music that never tires. We might pause here for a moment, sitting on a flat, sun-warmed rock to watch the clouds as they drift lazily across the peaks. From this height, the clouds do not seem far away. They are our companions, soft and white and heavy with the promise of snow, moving with a slow, majestic grace that makes the world feel very large and very quiet. They cast long, drifting shadows over the slopes, turning the gray stone to charcoal and back again as they pass. A silent play of light and dark that lulls the mind into a state of calm reflection. There is no urgency in their journey, and there is no urgency in ours. Only the steady rhythm of the breath and the quiet observation of the world unfolding around us. High above the last stunted shrubs, we enter the realm of the alpine meadows, known in the local tongue as the high pastures. These are wide, rolling expanses of green and gold that seem to touch the very edge of the sky, where the air is so thin and clear that the distant peaks look as though they are made of glass. In the height of the summer, these meadows are filled with the gentle lowing of the yaks, great shaggy creatures with coats of thick, dark wool that hangs down to their hooves. They move with a heavy, deliberate grace, their heads bowed as they graze on the sweet, short grass, the bells around their necks chiming softly with every step. The sound of these bells is the heartbeat of the high mountains, a low, resonant bronze tone that carries for miles in the still air. A reminder of the ancient connection between the people of the mountains and the land they call home. The yaks are built for this world of ice and stone, their breath coming in slow, misty puffs that vanish instantly into the dry air. Their fur is warm and soft to the touch, smelling of dry grass and wood smoke in the cold. Clean earth, to watch them is to understand the beauty of endurance, the quiet strength required to live in a place where the sun is bright and the nights are long and frozen. They do not hurry and they do not struggle. They simply exist in harmony with the mountain, moving from one patch of green to the next as the sun tracks its slow arc across the heavens. As the afternoon deepens, the light begins to change, softening from the brilliant white of midday to a warm, honeyed amber that coats the rocks in a golden glow. The shadows stretch out long and thin, reaching across the meadows like the fingers of a tired giant. The air grows cooler, a gentle reminder that the sun is beginning its descent, and the small birds that live among the rocks begin to settle into their nests. These birds are small and brown, with feathers the color of the earth, and their songs are short, melodic chirps that echo softly against the stone before fading into the silence. We find ourselves walking along a ridge where the ground is covered in a fine, silver dust, the remains of ancient glaciers that have long since retreated. The texture of the earth here is soft and powdery, cushioning our footsteps so that we move in near silence, a part of the landscape rather than an intruder upon it. To our left, the mountain drops away into a deep, blue valley where the tops of the clouds look like a soft, white blanket spread out to dry. To our right, the peaks rise up, jagged and formidable, their summits capped with eternal snow that glitters like diamonds in the fading light. There is a profound sense of solitude here, but it is not a lonely failing. It is a sense of being held in the palm of something vast and ancient and infinitely kind. In the small crevices of the rocks, we might find the blue poppy, a flower so rare and delicate that it seems almost out of place in this rugged world. Its petals are the color of the sky at dusk, a deep, translucent azure that feels as though it might dissolve if touched. It bows its head slightly, as if dreaming, its thin stem swaying almost imperceptibly in the cooling breeze. The sight of it is a quiet joy, a small miracle of color in a world of gray and white, a reminder that even in the highest, coldest reaches of the earth, life finds a way to express itself with gentleness and beauty. The temperature continues to drop, the warmth of the sun lingering only on the very tips of the highest peaks, which have turned a brilliant, fiery orange. This is the time of the alpenglow, a fleeting moment where the mountains seem to hold onto the light even after the sun has slipped below the horizon. The sky above us is now a deep, velvety navy, and the first few stars begin to blink into existence, their light steady and unblinking in the thin atmosphere. The world is settling down, the yaks huddling together for warmth, their slow, rhythmic breathing creating a soft chorus that blends with the sighing of the wind. We find a sheltered spot beneath a large, overhanging rock where the ground is dry and the air is still. The rock is still warm from the day's sun, radiating a faint, comforting heat that seeps into our bones as we rest. There is no sound now but the distant, muffled roar of a far-off waterfall and the occasional, sharp crack of the cooling stone. The vastness of the mountains seems to draw closer in the twilight, the peaks becoming dark silhouettes against the starlit sky, like great, sleeping guardians watching over the world. As we lean back and look upward, the Milky Way reveals itself in all its splendor, a shimmering river of silver and white that stretches from one horizon to the other. It is so bright here, so close that it feels as though we could reach out and touch the very fabric of the universe. The stars do not twinkle as they do in the heavy air of the lowlands. They shine with a constant, piercing clarity, casting a faint, ethereal light over the snowy slopes. Everything is becoming still, the movement of the day slowing to a crawl, then to a stop as the mountain prepares for the long, cold pace of the night. The silence here is not empty. It is full of the weight of the earth and the memory of the wind. It is a heavy, comforting blanket that wraps around us, inviting us to let go of the day and sink into the quiet. The air is very cold now, but it is a dry, clean cold that feels invigorating rather than harsh. We pull our coats tighter, feeling the texture of the wool and the warmth of our own breath, and watch as the last of the orange light fades from the highest summit, leaving the world in a state of perfect, monochromatic blue. The transition from the world of growing things to the world of ice is nearly complete. We have climbed past the trees, past the bushes and through the high meadows, arriving at the threshold of the high peaks where the air is thin and the silence is absolute. It is a place of profound simplicity, where the only things that matter are the stone beneath us and the stars above. The mind becomes as clear as the mountain air, free of the clutter of the world below, focused only on the slow, steady rhythm of the night. As we drift towards sleep in this high, quiet place, we feel the mountain breathing with us, a slow and ancient pulse that has beat for millions of years. The stars continue their slow, silent wheeling overhead, their light a soft, silver rain that falls on the sleeping earth. The world is at rest, held in the cold, gentle embrace of the high Himalaya, where the only sound is the whisper of the frost forming on the stones, and the only movement is the slow, inevitable turning of the earth toward the dawn, settling deeper and deeper into the hushed, silver stillness of the high altitude. The silver light of the moon begins to fade into a soft, milky gray as the first breath of morning touches the highest ridges, turning the frozen peaks into pale ghosts against the deep velvet of the sky. Here in the high cradles between the summits lies a world made entirely of ice, a vast and silent kingdom where time does not move by the ticking of a clock, but by the slow, rhythmic weight of the seasons. These are the great glaciers, the rivers of white that rest in the laps of the mountains, stretching out like long, heavy limbs of glass and snow. They are not static things, though they seem to sleep in the stillness of the thin air. They are living, breathing reservoirs, holding within their frozen depths the memory of 1,000 winters, waiting for the gentle warmth of the sun to release their gifts to the world far below. As you look across the expanse of a glacier, you see a texture like crumpled silk, where the wind has carved delicate ridges into the crust of the snow. The color is not merely white, but a spectrum of soft, cooling blues, the pale turquoise of a shallow sea, the deep sapphire of a twilight sky, and the translucent glow of a polished gem. There is no sound here, save for the occasional low groan of the ice as it shifts under its own immense weight, a sound like a heavy wooden door turning on a very old hinge. It is a peaceful sound, a reminder that the earth is always moving, always settling even when it appears to be at rest. The air is crisp and tastes of nothing but purity, a coldness that feels clean and sharp against the skin, inviting you to draw a deep, slow breath and feel the stillness of the high places settling into your own bones. Beneath the surface of this frozen landscape, a quiet transformation is beginning. Deep within the blue shadows of the crevices, where the light filters down in soft, Shimmering ribbons, the ice is ever so slowly turning to water. It happens one drop at a time, a patient rhythm that has continued for millions of years. Imagine the sound of a single drop of water falling into a hidden pool deep inside the glacier. A tiny crystalline chime that echoes softly against the walls of ice. This is the beginning of a journey that will span hundreds of miles, carrying the essence of the mountains down through the valleys, across the wide plains and eventually to the distant, salt-tossed waves of the sea. It is a journey of nourishment, a slow pouring out of life that sustains a billion souls who live in the shadow of these giants. As the sun rises higher, its warmth touches the surface of the ice with a gentle, golden hand. Small trickles of water begin to lace across the glacier, finding their way into tiny runnels that sparkle like threads of silver thread. These small streams join together, growing stronger and more confident as they flow downward, carving smooth, winding paths through the ice. The water is incredibly cold, yet it carries the promise of life, a clarity that reflects the vastness of the sky above. You can almost smell the freshness of it, the scent of wet stone, of ancient minerals, and the faint, sweet aroma of the high-altitude air. It is a scent that speaks of beginnings, of a world being washed clean and renewed by the simple, steady melting of the snow. The water travels down the rugged slopes, tumbling over gray boulders that have been smoothed by centuries of passage. It gathers in high alpine lakes, pools of water so still and clear that they act as perfect mirrors for the peaks that surround them. In these quiet basins, the water rests for a moment, its surface barely rippled by the soft mountain breeze. The silt carried from the grinding of the glaciers gives these lakes a milky, emerald hue, a color so soft and calming that it seems to draw the eye into a state of deep, quiet contemplation. Here, the world feels balanced, a place where the hardness of the rock and the softness of the water meet in a perfect, enduring harmony. As the streams leave the high lakes, they begin their descent into the upper valleys, where the first signs of life begin to appear. Tiny, hardy mosses cling to the damp stones, and small, resilient flowers peek out from the shelter of the crags, their petals drinking in the moisture provided by the melting ice. The sound of the water changes here. It is no longer a silent trickle, but a soft, rhythmic babbling, a song that fills the valley with a sense of movement and purpose. It is a gentle sound, like the rustle of dry leaves or the steady falling of rain on a thatched roof. A sound that invites the mind to wander and the body to relax into the cradle of the landscape. Further down, the streams become rivers, wide and powerful, yet still governed by the slow cycles of the mountain. These are the great arteries of the continent, the lifelines that have shaped the history and the culture of everyone who lives in their path. Along the banks of these rivers, the soil is rich and dark, fed by the minerals brought down from the high peaks. You can imagine the smell of the damp earth, the fragrance of growing things, and the cool mist that rises from the water in the early morning. It is a landscape of abundance, where the simple presence of water transforms the dry dust of the plains into a lush, green tapestry of life. In the villages that line the river banks, life moves to the rhythm of the water. The farmers watch the rivers rise and fall with the seasons, knowing that the snows of the high Himalayas are the source of their prosperity. There is a deep, quiet respect for the mountains here, a recognition that the ice far above is a guardian, a silent provider that watches over the fields and the forests. The work of the day is steady and unhurried, a series of repetitive, grounding tasks that mirror the slow flow of the river itself. The sound of a wooden plow turning the earth, the soft lowing of cattle, and the distant call of a bird across the water all blend into a symphony of peace, a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. As evening begins to fall over the lower valleys, the rivers take on a golden glow, reflecting the last light of the day as it slips behind the distant, jagged horizon. The air grows cooler, and the mist begins to rise from the water, wrapping the trees and the houses in a soft, gray blanket. It is a time for coming home, for gathering around small fires and sharing the quiet stories of the day. The smoke from the hearths rises straight into the still air, a thin blue line that connects the earth to the sky. There is a profound sense of safety in this rhythm, a knowledge that as long as the mountains stand and the glaciers rest in their high cradles, the water will continue to flow, and the world will continue to be nourished. Back up in the high altitudes, where the rivers began their journey, the glaciers are settling back into the cold embrace of the night. The sun has left the surface of the ice, and the brilliant blues have deepened into shades of indigo and slate. The trickles of water have slowed and frozen once more, turning back into the solid, silent glass that guards the mountain's secrets. The air is perfectly still now, so quiet that you can almost hear the heartbeat of the earth, a slow and steady pulse that resonates through the rock and the ice. The vastness of the landscape feels intimate in the twilight, a space where the enormity of the mountains becomes a comforting presence, a great mother watching over the sleeping world. The stars begin to appear, one by one, piercing the deep violet of the sky with their sharp, cold light. They reflect in the frozen surfaces of the glacier, creating a double world of light and shadow, where the boundaries between the earth and the heavens seem to dissolve. The glacier is a bridge between these worlds, a slow-moving river of time that holds the past, the present, and the future in its icy grip. It does not hurry, it does not strive. It simply exists, a monument to patience and the enduring power of nature to provide for all living things through the simplest of means. As you imagine yourself resting on the edge of this great frozen expanse, the cold does not feel harsh, but like a heavy, protective quilt. The silence is not empty, but full of the deep, resonant peace of a world that is perfectly at rest. The weight of your own body feels grounded and secure, sinking into the soft, imaginary snow, held by the strength of the mountain beneath you. Every breath is a slow, easy release, a letting go of the day's concerns as you drift into the vast, silver quietude of the high peaks. The movement of the ice is so slow it is imperceptible, a dream of motion that carries you gently forward into the stillness of the night. The stars wheel slowly overhead, their paths marked by the silent peaks that reach up to touch them. The world below is tucked away in the shadows of the valleys, sleeping soundly under the watchful eye of the glaciers. There is no need for haste, no need for worry, for the mountains have been here for an eternity and will remain for an eternity more. presiding over the slow, beautiful unfolding of life. The ice remains, the water waits, and the earth breathes in a long, slow cycle of renewal that never ends. A constant promise of sustenance and peace. As the night deepens, the blue of the ice merges with the black of the rock, until the landscape becomes a study in shadow and light. The cold air settles into the hollows, and the mountain seems to sigh, a soft exhaling of wind that ripples across the snow like a whispered lullaby. Everything is exactly as it should be, a perfect balance of elements, a silent testament to the quiet strength of the natural world. You are a part of this stillness, a small but vital thread in the great tapestry of the Himalayas, drifting deeper into the calm, rhythmic heart of the ice. The glacier continues its slow, invisible crawl, a journey of inches that will take lifetimes to complete. It is a reminder that the most important things in life often happen slowly, without fanfare or noise. The nourishment of the plains, the filling of the rivers, the growth of the forests, all of it begins here, in the cold and the quiet, in the patient melting of a single drop of water. This realization brings a sense of profound contentment, a softening of the spirit that allows the mind to let go of its final hold on the waking world. The light of the stars is soft and distant, a gentle flickering that guides the way into a deeper state of repose. The mountains are no longer towering giants, but old friends, their rugged outlines softened by the darkness. The air is a cool caress, a final touch of the high places before the world fades into the soft, dark velvet of sleep. You are drifting now, floating on the slow current of the glacier, moving toward a place of absolute stillness, where the only sound is the quiet, rhythmic breathing of the mountain itself, settling down into the deep, dark blue of the eternal winter. The air here is thin and clear, like a sheet of fine silk held up to a cold sun. And as we move higher, the world below begins to soften into a memory of green valleys and rushing rivers. We have reached a place where the sky is no longer a bright, pale blue, but a deep and velvet indigo, a color so rich it feels as though you could reach out and run your fingers across its texture. Everything is very quiet now. The wind, which might have been a roar in the lower passes, has become a steady humming breath that carries no scent of earth or pine, only the clean, sharp smell of frozen stone and ancient ice. There is a profound stillness in this high altitude, a sense that the mountain is holding its breath, waiting for the stars to appear in the middle of the day. As we step into this high realm, the light changes. It does not fall from above so much as it seems to radiate from the snow itself, a soft white glow that fills the eyes and calms the mind. Each crystal of frost on the rocks is a tiny, perfect prism, catching the light and breaking it into 1,000 quiet sparkles that dance as you move. The ground beneath our feet is firm and dependable, a mixture of solid rock and packed snow that crunch softly with every slow, deliberate step. There is no need for haste here. Time has a different weight in the high peaks. It stretches out like the long shadows of the late afternoon, turning minutes into hours and hours into a seamless moment of peace. Imagine the sound of your own breathing, a rhythmic and gentle companion in the silence. It is a slow, steady tide, pulling in the cool, thin air and letting it go again. A small fire burning steadily in the center of your chest to keep the cold at bay. The air is so light that it feels almost weightless, as if you are breathing in the essence of the clouds themselves. It is a simple task, this breathing, and it becomes a form of meditation, a way to anchor yourself to the present moment while the rest of the world falls away into the mist. Your heartbeat is a soft drum, a quiet reminder of life in a place that belongs to the wind and the stars. The rocks around us are ancient and wise, worn smooth by eons of passing clouds. They are shades of deep charcoal and slate gray, occasionally streaked with veins of white quartz that look like frozen lightning trapped in the stone. If you were to rest your hand against one of these stones, you would find it cold and steady, a silent witness to the turning of the earth. There is a great comfort in the solidity of the mountain, a feeling of being cradled by something that has stood for millions of years and will stand for millions more. It is a place of absolute permanence, where the small worries of the lowlands cannot follow. As the sun moves slowly across the dark sky, the shadows in the crevices turn a deep, inviting shade of sapphire. These are the places where the mountain hides its secrets, tucked away in the folds of the ice. The glaciers move with a slow, majestic patience, flowing downward at a pace that cannot be seen by the eye, only felt in the deep, occasional groan of the ice settling into a new position. It is the sound of a giant turning over in its sleep, a low and resonant vibration that hums in the soles of your feet. It is not a frightening sound, but a peaceful one, a sign that the mountain is alive in its own quiet way, dreaming of the oceans it once was before the earth pushed it toward the heavens. In this high place, the light begins to take on a golden hue as the afternoon lingers. The peaks around us, those great cathedrals of stone and snow, catch the sun on their western faces, turning them into glowing beacons of amber and honey. The contrast between the warm light on the ridges and the cool, blue shadows in the hollows is a sight of immense beauty, a visual lullaby that tells the eyes it is time to rest. You can see for hundreds of miles from here, out over the tops of lesser mountains that look like waves on a frozen sea, rolling away toward the horizon until they melt into the hazy purple of the distance. There is a sense of being very close to the edge of the world, where the earth meets the vastness of space. The air is so pure that there is nothing to distort the view, no dust or moisture to cloud the clarity of the peaks. You can see the individual layers of rock, the history of the world written in stripes of color that tell of ancient seas and rising continents. It is a library of time, silent and open to the sky. As you look out over the expanse, you feel a gentle shedding of all that is unnecessary. The complications of life are left behind in the valleys, replaced by the simple reality of the rock, the ice and the sky. We find a place to sit for a moment, a flat ledge of stone protected from the wind by a high wall of granite. The sun feels warm on your shoulders, a soft touch that contrasts with the bracing coolness of the air. It is a perfect balance, a harmony of elements that invites you to close your eyes and listen to the silence. The silence here is not empty. It is full of the subtle music of the high altitude. There is the faint hiss of dry snow skittering across the ice, a sound like shifting sand. There is the occasional tinkling of a small icicle breaking loose and falling onto a soft drift below, a delicate chime that rings out and then fades. As we sit, we might imagine the people who have looked up at these peaks for generations, seeing them as the home of the gods or the pillars of the heavens. To them, this was a place of eternal peace, a realm where the bustle of the markets and the toil of the fields could not reach. They saw the white plumes of snow blowing from the summits and thought of them as long, flowing scarves of silk. There is a deep reverence in the way the mountain is held in the human heart, a recognition of its majesty and its quiet, unyielding grace even now in the stillness. You can feel that sense of wonder, a quiet glow of appreciation for the sheer scale of the world. The light is beginning to soften even further now, the gold deepening into a warm bronze. The shadows are stretching longer, reaching out across the glaciers like slow, blue fingers. It is the time of day when the mountain prepares for the night, a long and peaceful slumber under the watch of the moon. The temperature drops very slowly, a gradual cooling that feels like a heavy blanket being pulled up to your chin. It is a signal to settle down, to find a place of warmth and safety within yourself. The world is becoming a study in monochrome, the whites and grays and blues blending together into a soft tapestry of twilight. High above, the first star appears, a tiny point of silver light against the darkening indigo. It is joined by another, and then another, until the sky is a glittering field of diamonds. Because the air is so thin, the stars do not twinkle as they do below. They shine with a steady, unwavering light close enough to touch. They seem to be part of the mountain itself, a crown of light resting on the brow of the world. The Milky Way begins to arch across the sky, a river of starlight that mirrors the frozen rivers of ice below. It is a sight of such immense calm that it fills the mind with a quiet, glowing peace. The movement of the stars is the only clock here, a slow and majestic rotation that marks the passage of the night. There is no urgency to the hours, only a steady progression from one moment of beauty to the next. You might feel a gentle pull of sleep, a desire to close your eyes and drift away on the current of the mountain's breath. The cold is no longer a sharp thing, but a soft and numbing presence that encourages rest. It is the cold of a clean sheet, of a quiet room, of a world that has finished its work for the day and is ready to dream. In this high sanctuary, the air remains perfectly still. The wind has died down to a mere whisper, a secret shared between the peaks. The snow underfoot has turned to a dim, ghostly white reflecting the pale light of the stars. Every shape is softened, every edge blurred by the gathering dark. You are tucked away in the high folds of the earth, safe and secure in the heart of the great range. The mountain is your guardian, its vast bulk a shield against the rest of the world. There is nothing to do but be here, to breathe and to let the stillness wash over you like a slow, cool tide. As the night deepens, the silence becomes even more profound. It is a silence that goes back to the beginning of time, a deep and resonant quiet that exists only in the highest places. It is a gift, a moment of absolute clarity where you can hear the softest thoughts of your own heart. The mountain does not demand anything of you. It simply allows you to be part of its world for a little while. You are a guest in the palace of the sky, a witness to the turning of the stars and the slow, rhythmic pulse of the earth. We begin to transition now, moving away from the high, cold peaks of the upper reaches and toward the gentler, lower slopes where the air begins to thicken once more. We carry the silence of the high places with us, a small spark of starlight tucked away in our minds. The descent is as slow and easy as the climb, a gradual return to the familiar world of trees and water. But for now, we remain in the twilight, hovering between the earth and the stars, feeling the immense weight of the mountain settling down into the quiet cradle of the night. The blue of the shadows has turned to a deep, restful black, and the white of the snow is now a soft, glowing silver. The air is perfectly calm, a motionless sea of cold and clarity. You can feel the mountain beneath you, a solid and comforting presence that stretches down through the crust of the earth to its very core. It is a foundation that cannot be shaken, a place of ultimate rest. As we drift further into the quiet, the stars seem to lean in closer, whispering of the long, peaceful ages they have watched over these peaks. The rhythmic breathing of the mountain continues, a slow and steady rise and fall that matches the beating of your own heart. Everything is in harmony, everything is at peace. The high world is a place of dreams now, a landscape of light and shadow that exists outside of time. We are moving toward a deeper rest, a place where the cold is replaced by a soft, internal warmth, and the silence is a lullaby that leads us toward the threshold of sleep. The journey is nearly over, and the mountain is ready to let us go, back to the world of soft beds and flickering fires. The path ahead is smooth and gentle, a soft slope that leads down into the mist of the lower valleys. We move through the dark with a sense of ease, guided by the pale light of the moon on the snow. Each step is a release, a letting go of the day's journey. The air begins to feel a little warmer, a little heavier, like a velvet curtain being drawn across the world. We are leaving the high peaks behind, but we take their stillness with us, a quiet treasure that will stay with us as we sink deeper into the soft embrace of the night. The last of the high ridges fades into the darkness, leaving only the memory of the light and the stars. We are descending now into the soft, muffled world of the high forests, where the trees stand like silent sentinels in the dark. The smell of the earth begins to return, a faint and comforting scent of damp soil and sleeping needles. It is the smell of home, of a world that is waking up to the idea of rest. The mountain is still there behind us, a great dark shape against the stars, watching over our descent with a quiet and ancient affection. We settle into the soft shadows of the treeline, where the wind is a mere sigh among the branches. The ground is covered in a thick carpet of moss and fallen needles, a bed as soft as any cloud. We can hear the distant, muffled sound of a stream, a silver thread of water winding its way through the dark. It is a gentle, bubbling sound, a song of the earth that lulls the mind into a state of perfect calm. The high peaks are far above us now, silent and cold in their majesty. But here, in the shelter of the trees, the world is small and warm and safe. The light of the stars is filtered through the canopy, creating a pattern of soft, dancing shadows on the forest floor. It is a world of gentle movements and quiet sounds, a place where the night is a friend. We close our eyes and let the rhythm of the forest take over. The slow swaying of the trees and the steady pulse of the water. Everything is settling down, finding its place in the quiet order of the night. We are part of this order, a small and peaceful element in the great tapestry of the mountain. The journey through the high places has brought us to this moment of absolute rest. The thin air and the brilliant light are replaced by the soft, heavy darkness of the woods. We are wrapped in a blanket of silence, a quiet that is as deep and vast as the mountain itself. There is no more night for movement, no more need for thought. We are simply here in the heart of the night, breathing in the cool, sweet air of the forest and letting the world fade away into a soft, indistinct blur. As we drift further towards sleep, the mountain remains a steady presence in our minds, a place of eternal peace and quiet beauty. Its peaks are still touching the stars. Its glaciers are still flowing with their slow, frozen patience, and its silence is still echoing in the high passes. But here, in the soft embrace of the lower slopes, we are safe and warm, ready to let the dreams of the mountain become our own. The night is long and peaceful, a vast ocean of calm that stretches out before us, inviting us to sink down into the deep and wordless quiet of a perfect, dreamless sleep. The silence here is not empty, but full, like a heavy velvet curtain that has been drawn across the high corners of the world to keep the noise of the lowlands far away. As we move higher into the thin, cool air of the mountains, the light changes its quality, becoming pale and silver, filtering through the mist like milk stirred into clear water. We are stepping into a realm where the earth meets the sky in a long, slow embrace, and tucked into the creases of these giant stone folds are the monasteries, sitting as still as the boulders that surround them. These buildings do not fight against the mountain, but seem to grow out of it. Their walls made of the same sun-warmed granite and whitewashed stone, leaning slightly inward as if they are whispering secrets to the cliffs. You can imagine the feeling of the air here, so crisp and clean that every breath feels like a cool drink of spring water, moving slowly through your lungs and bringing a sense of lightness to your limbs. The wind carries the scent of dried juniper and the faint, sweet trail of old incense, a smell that has lived in these hallways for hundreds upon hundreds of years. The paths that lead to these quiet places are narrow and lined with smooth, flat stones worn down by the soft footfalls of many generations. Beside the path, long rows of prayer wheels stand in wooden frames, their copper surfaces polished to a dull glow by the touch of passing hands. As the wind catches them, or a traveler brushes by, they spin with a low, rhythmic hum, a sound like a distant honeybee or the purr of a sleeping cat. Each rotation is a quiet wish for peace, sent out into the valley below, drifting on the clouds like a feather. There is no hurry here, for time in the mountain monasteries does not move in minutes or hours, but in the slow shifting of shadows across a courtyard and the gradual blooming of stars in a twilight sky. We walk slowly, feeling the solid earth beneath our feet, watching the way the sunlight catches the edges of the golden roofs, turning them into small, bright beacons against the deep blue of the atmosphere. Inside the heavy wooden doors, the world becomes even softer, wrapped in the warmth of thick wool rugs and the steady, golden glow of butter lamps. These lamps are small brass bowls filled with clarified oil, each holding a single, steady flame that dances very slightly in the still air. The light they cast is orange and kind, softening the corners of the rooms and painting long, gentle shadows on the walls. There is a richness to the colors here, deep crimsons and ochre yellows, the shades of autumn leaves and sunset clouds, painted onto the pillars and hanging in long silk banners from the rafters. You might hear the low, resonant vibration of a long copper horn, a sound so deep it feels like it is coming from the ground itself, vibrating through the soles of your feet and settling in your chest like a warm hum. It is a grounding sound, a steady heartbeat for the mountain, reminding everything and everyone to simply be still. In the kitchens of the monastery, the atmosphere is cozy and dim, filled with the comforting steam of large iron pots. The monks move with a quiet, practiced grace, preparing tea that is thick and salty, churned with fresh butter until it is frothy and pale. Imagine the warmth of a heavy ceramic bowl held between your palms, the steam rising up to brush against your cheeks, carrying the savory scent of toasted barley. This barley, ground into a fine flour called sampa, is the steady rhythm of their daily life, a simple and honest food that tastes of the earth and the sun. There is a gentle clinking of spoons and the soft murmur of voices, never raised, always flowing like a slow-moving stream over smooth pebbles. The heat from the hearth radiates outward, chasing away the chill of the high altitude and creating a pocket of perfect, sleepy comfort while the mountain peaks outside turn violet in the fading light. The libraries are perhaps the quietest places of all, tucked away in the heart of the stone walls where the air is cool and smells of old paper and dried ink. Thousands of wooden blocks carved with delicate letters sit on high shelves wrapped in squares of saffron-colored silk. These books have been resting here for centuries, holding stories of the stars, the seasons, and the inner workings of the human heart. When a page is turned, it makes a sound like a dry leaf skittering across a stone floor, a tiny noise that only emphasizes the profound stillness of the room. Here, the pursuit of knowledge is not a race, but a slow, lifelong walk, a gradual unfolding of understanding that happens in the quiet spaces between breaths. You can feel the weight of all that peace pressing gently against you, encouraging your mind to let go of its busy thoughts and simply rest in the presence of so much history. As evening begins to settle over the high ridges, the monks gather in the main hall, sitting on long, low cushions that line the floor. The chanting begins not as a song, but as a collective vibration, a sea of low voices rising and falling in perfect harmony. It is a rhythmic, repetitive sound that acts like a soft blanket, tucking the world in for the night. The words are ancient, their meanings woven into the very fabric of the mountainside. And as you listen, the boundaries between the inside and the outside seem to fade away. There is only the sound, the golden light of the butter lamps, and the vast starlit sky waiting just beyond the windows. The chant slows down, becoming quieter and deeper, until it is nothing more than a whisper, and then finally a beautiful, resonant silence that holds everything in its care. Outside, the snow begins to fall. Not in a storm, but in large, lazy flakes that drift down through the dark air like tiny white feathers. They land without a sound on the stone steps and the wooden railings, muffling the world even further. The mountain peaks are silver under the moon, standing like silent guardians over the sleeping monastery. Every bird has tucked its head beneath its wing, and every fox has curled into its burrow, safe and warm against the cold. The air is perfectly still, the wind having sighed itself to sleep among the high crags and the frozen waterfalls. Inside your mind, you can see the white walls of the monastery glowing softly in the moonlight, a sanctuary of peace held high above the clouds, where nothing can disturb the profound rest of the earth. The cold outside only makes the warmth inside feel more precious, a gentle contrast that lulls the senses into a state of total ease. You are safe here, wrapped in the quietude of the high places, where the only task is to breathe and to listen to the silence. The heavy wooden beams above you have held this roof for hundreds of years, and they will continue to hold it, steady and strong while the world turns slowly beneath the stars. The light of the last butter lamp flickers once and then settles into a tiny, steady point of gold, a small star mirrored in the darkness. It is a time for letting go, for allowing the weight of the day to dissolve into the cool mountain air, leaving you light and unburdened. The path we have walked today has been long and winding, but it has led us to this place of perfect stillness, where the air is thin and the thoughts are few. The mountains do not ask anything of us. They simply offer their grandeur and their silence as a gift. As we settle into the soft shadows of the monastery, the rhythm of our breathing matches the slow pulse of the stone, a steady and calming cadence that carries us toward a state of deep, undisturbed tranquility. The world below is far away, a distant memory of movement and noise that has no place in this high sanctuary. Here there's only the soft falling of snow, the scent of old wood, and the immense kind presence of the peaks. We feel ourselves sinking deeper into the comfort of this high-altitude refuge, the coolness of the night air acting as a gentle balm for the spirit. The mind becomes like a mountain lake, clear and still, reflecting the vastness of the sky without a single ripple to break the surface. Every muscle finds its release. Every tension melts away into the shadows, and the heart finds its home in the quiet center of the world. We are drifting now, floating on the edge of a great and peaceful sea, where the waves are made of moonlight and the shore is a soft bank of clouds. As the last echoes of the day fade into the stone, we prepare to move even deeper into the heart of the silence, toward the very core of the mountain's rest. The journey has been a slow ascent, a gradual leaving behind of the heavy and the loud, until all that remains is the essence of peace. We are ready now to close our eyes and let the mountain hold us, to feel the steady, unchanging support of the earth beneath us as we drift toward the final threshold of our journey. The stillness here is a promise, a soft assurance that everything is exactly as it should be, and that the night is a vast and friendly place, waiting to gather us into its arms. The air grows even softer now, a velvet touch against the skin, as we prepare to transition from the world of stone and incense into the world of pure, unblemished shadow. The monasteries remain, perched high and silent, their golden roofs dreaming under the stars. while we move quietly onward, guided by the pale light of the moon. We are descending now, not in height, but in awareness, moving toward the softest part of the night where the mountains themselves seem to breathe in unison with our own quiet rhythm. It is a slow and beautiful fading, a gentle dissolution into the cool, dark spaces between the stars, where the only sound is the heartbeat of the earth, steady and slow, leading us down, further down into the velvet embrace of a total and absolute quiet. The velvet silence of the high night lingers for a long time, holding the world in a cradle of deep indigo and soft, frozen shadows in these final hours before the sun finds the peaks. The air is perfectly still, carrying the scent of cold stone and the faint, metallic sweetness of old snow. There is no wind to stir the prayer flags, which hang heavy and motionless like sleeping birds against the dark sky. If you were to stand here, wrapped in thick wool and the quiet of your own breaths, you would feel the immense weight of the mountains all around you, not as a burden but as a protective circle of giants resting in the dark. The stars above are not flickering points of light but steady, glowing jewels so bright and so close that they seem to hum with a low, rhythmic energy that matches the slow beating of your own heart. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the deepest black of the horizon begins to soften into a bruised purple, a color so thin and delicate it feels like a secret being whispered across the ridges. This is the first movement of the light, a gentle stirring that does not wake the world so much as it eases it toward a new state of being. The valleys far below remain filled with a thick, milky mist that looks like a sea of soft cotton, obscuring the rivers and the rhododendron forests in a blanket of absolute peace. Up here on the higher slopes, the edges of the granite cliffs begin to emerge from the gloom, their sharp outlines smoothing out as the gray light spills over them like cool water. Imagine the smell of the air in this moment, crisp and thin, tasting of nothing but purity and the ancient history of the earth. It is a quiet time, a time for the mountains to simply exist before the day demands anything of them. The snow underfoot is a crust of diamonds, firm and supportive, holding the memory of the starlight in its crystalline structure. As the purple sky turns to a pale, dusty rose the very highest peaks, those great cathedrals of rock and ice that touch the edge of space, begin to catch a glow that belongs to another world. It is a faint peach-colored warmth that touches only the very tips, a silent signal that the sun is approaching from behind the curve of the earth. This first light does not arrive with a flash or a roar, but with a slow, honeyed grace that flows down the mountainsides. The peach deepens into a soft gold, and as the light descends, it reveals the textures of the mountain's skin. You can see the ripples in the ice, carved by winds that have long since passed, and the deep, gentle folds of the snowfields that look like unspun silk draped over the shoulders of the earth. There is a profound sense of permanence here, a feeling that these stones have watched 1,000 dawns just like this one, each one as quiet and as holy as the last. The light moves with a deliberate pace, warming the cold blue shadows and turning the world into a tapestry of amber and silver. Down in the small stone villages that cling to the lower slopes, the first plumes of wood smoke begin to rise from the chimneys, straight and thin in the breathless air. The smell of burning juniper and dried yak dung drifts upward. A familiar and grounding scent that speaks of hearths and heavy blankets and the simple comfort of a warm bowl of tea. The people within these thick-walled houses are moving slowly, their footsteps muffled by rugs in the soft earth floors. Their voices low and melodic as they begin the quiet rituals of the morning. There is no rush here, no urgency to meet the day. Only a steady, rhythmic progression of tasks that have been performed for centuries in the shadow of the great peaks. The bells of the yaks in the high pastures begin to chime, a soft, metallic clinking that carries for miles in the thin air. It is a lonely sound, yet deeply comforting, a reminder of the life that thrives even in these high, lonely places. The animals move with a heavy, swaying gait, their long fur catching the morning light, their breath forming small, fleeting clouds of steam that vanish into the bright air. They are part of the mountain, as much as the stone and the ice, moving with a patience that matches the slow turning of the seasons. Everything here understands the value of moving slowly, of conserving warmth, and of living in harmony with the vast, quiet scale of the landscape. As the sun finally clears the distant ridges, the entire range is bathed in a light that is both brilliant and soft. It is not a harsh glare, but a luminous glow that seems to come from within the mountains themselves. The glaciers, those slow-moving rivers of ice, sparkle with 1,000 different hues of blue and green, their deep crevices holding onto the last remnants of the night's shadows. You can hear the very faint, distant sound of the ice stretching and settling, a low groan that sounds like a giant turning over in its sleep. It is the sound of the earth breathing, a reminder that even these massive structures are alive in their own slow, geological way. The paths that wind between the peaks are now visible, golden ribbons of dust and stone that lead from one sanctuary to the next. These trails have been trodden by monks and traders, by shepherds and travelers, all of whom have walked with the same steady, rhythmic pace that the mountains demand. To walk here is to enter into a meditation, where each step is a conversation with the ground and each breath is a gift from the sky. The air is so clear that you can see for hundreds of miles, across a sea of peaks that fade into a hazy, shimmering blue on the horizon, each one a silent sentinel in the morning sun. In the monasteries, the low, resonant thrum of the long horns begins to echo across the valleys. The sound is deep and grounding, a vibration that you feel in your chest more than you hear with your ears. It is the sound of the mountains speaking, a call to mindfulness and a celebration of the light. The monks move through the courtyards in their saffron and maroon robes, their movements fluid and unhurried, their faces reflecting the calm of the peaks above them. They spin the prayer wheels with a gentle touch, the wood clicking softly as the prayers are sent out into the wind, carrying wishes for peace and balance to all corners of the world. The light has now reached the valley floors, dissolving the mists and revealing the bright green of the terraced fields and the sparkling silver of the meltwater streams. These streams are the lifeblood of the mountains, singing a constant, bubbling song as they tumble over smooth gray boulders and under small wooden bridges. The water is ice cold and clear as glass, carrying the mineral taste of the high peaks down to the thirsty lands below. To sit by one of these streams is to hear the story of the mountain being told in a language of splashes and ripples. A story that never ends and never repeats. As the morning matures, the warmth of the sun begins to loosen the grip of the frost. You can hear the tiny, musical tinkle of melting ice falling from the eaves of the houses and the branches of the pines. It is a delicate, fragile sound, like the breaking of thin glass, marking the transition from the stillness of the night to the gentle activity of the day. The birds begin to stir, their songs short and sweet, echoing through the thin air with a clarity that is only possible at these heights. There is a sense of immense space here, a feeling that the sky is not a ceiling but an endless, inviting ocean of blue. Imagine yourself sitting on a sun-warmed rock, looking out over this vast, golden kingdom. The air is still cool against your skin, but the sun on your shoulders feels like a heavy, warm hand. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. You are simply a part of this landscape, a small point of awareness in a world of giants. The mountains do not ask for your attention. They simply offer their presence, a steady and unchanging backdrop to the fleeting moments of human life. In this light, all worries seem to thin out and vanish, leaving only a sense of profound gratitude and a quiet, enduring peace. The shadows are now short and soft, huddling at the base of the rocks. The day has fully arrived, but it is a day that carries the quiet of the night within it. There is no noise of machines, no clamor of crowds, only the natural symphony of the wind, the water, and the distant bells. It is a world where time is measured not by minutes, but by the movement of the sun across the rock faces and the slow growth of the lichen on the stones. Everything is in its right place, moving at its own pace, held in the gentle embrace of the high altitude. As we linger in this golden morning, the peaks seem to glow with a soft, inner radiance. The white of the snow is so pure it almost hurts to look at. Yet it draws the eye upward, toward the infinite blue of the sky. This is the roof of the world, a place where the earth meets the heavens in a silent, eternal embrace. It is a place of refuge, a place where the soul can rest and the mind can find a stillness that matches the stillness of the stones. The mountains are the great teachers of patience, standing unmoved through the storms and the sunshine, always returning to this state of perfect morning grace. The light begins to shift slightly, becoming a deeper, more saturated yellow as the sun climbs higher. The textures of the world become even more vivid. The rough grain of the granite, the soft needles of the pine trees, the smooth, weathered wood of the village gates. You can feel the mountain breathing under you, a slow and steady pulse that has been beating since the beginning of time. It is a pulse that invites you to slow down, to match your rhythm to the rhythm of the earth, to let go of the frantic pace of the world below and simply be. In this high, bright world, every breath is a renewal, every glance a discovery. The mountains do not change, yet they are never the same twice, their faces shifting with every nuance of the light. But for now, in this long and beautiful morning, they are at rest. They are the guardians of the quiet, the keepers of the ancient cold, and the recipients of the first, most beautiful light. As we sit here, the warmth of the sun begins to seep into our bones, a heavy and comforting heat that makes the eyes grow heavy and the limbs feel light. The sound of the wind is like a soft brush against the ear, a gentle shushing that lulls the senses. It carries the faint scent of incense from a distant shrine, a sweet and smoky aroma that blends with the freshness of the snow. The world is a vast, open room filled with light and air, and a silence so deep it feels like a physical presence. It is a silence that does not empty the world, but fills it, making every small sound. The crackle of a dry leaf, the hum of a bee, the distant call of a hawk seem significant and beautiful. As the morning progresses, the sense of peace only deepens. The mountains are not going anywhere. They have all the time in the world. And so do you. There is a profound comfort in this permanence, a feeling that no matter what happens in the world below, these peaks will always be here, catching the first light and holding the silence of the night. They are the anchors of the earth, the steady points around which the rest of the world turns. And in their presence, we find a reflection of our own inner stillness, a place of quiet that remains untouched by the passing of time. The light is now a steady, pouring gold, filling the valleys and illuminating the highest ridges. The world is fully awake, yet it remains as calm as it was in the first purple moments of the dawn. The yaks continue their slow graze, the monks continue their quiet prayers, and the water continues its endless journey to the sea. Everything is connected, everything is flowing, and everything is at peace. The mountains have shared their secret with us, the secret of how to stand tall while remaining perfectly still, of how to reach for the sky while staying rooted in the earth. As we prepare to leave this high sanctuary, we carry a piece of this morning with us. We carry the memory of the peach-colored peaks, the smell of the juniper smoke, and the sound of the ice settling in the sun. We carry the feeling of the heavy, warm light on our shoulders and the crisp, clean air in our lungs. The mountains remain behind us, glowing in the sun, watching over the world with their silent, stony wisdom. They are the beginning and the end, the highest points of our world and the deepest wells of our peace. The journey through the heights has brought us to this place of absolute clarity, where the air is thin but the spirit is full. We have climbed through the forests and over the glaciers, through the storms and the starlight, to arrive at this simple, golden morning. And now, as the sun reaches its zenith and the shadows begin their slow afternoon crawl, we find ourselves returning to a state of quiet rest. The world is bright, the world is warm, and the world is very, very still. The mountains are fading now into a soft, luminous haze, their sharp edges blurring in the midday heat. The sounds of the day are becoming a single, low hum, a gentle vibration that sings of contentment and rest. We are descending now, not in distance, but in energy, letting the warmth of the sun and the weight of the morning lead us toward a deep and effortless slumber. The peaks will stay where they are, bathed in light, waiting for the next dawn. But for us, the journey is complete. The light is soft, the air is still, and the mountains are watching over us as we drift into a dreamless and perfect quiet.